What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down why tomorrow is going to be another interesting day for the markets, as Tesla has a potential bullish catalyst, not to mention new news about the markets. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposit $1,000 and you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. Soft runs in just a couple of weeks. Check it out before they run out. Anyways, for Tesla, we're doing a good job so far at this accumulation structure, forming a nice inverse head and shoulders. I think that Tesla has potential so long as we hold above our key EMAs, especially this 212 area. So if Tesla does see a little bit of a dip, as long as we hold above this support, we should continue to push higher. I think this imbalance to the left will try to fill as long as we hold key supports. So we are looking more bullish for the markets going into tomorrow just to start off September. That does not mean that all of September has to be bullish, but for now, that's how we're looking, especially with all the fear that's building right now. So historically, okay, during election years, what the market tends to be bullish during the summertime. And once we get to September, things do tend to slow down. September and October are historically weaker months for the markets before the market rebounds in November and December, especially during these election years historically. This is a very, very common pattern. So for September, right now, there's a lot of fear building. People may think the market's going to crash. They're starting to short. And that's why you want to be very careful because right now, as of right now, the market looks a little bit more bullish. It looks like we may actually push higher starting off September instead. Is it possible we get a rug pull for the end of September to make history repeat itself? It's a possibility. But in this case, right now, we're not going to focus on that. We're just going to read the charts in front of us and look at what's happening. And so far, the market is favoring upside, another push that's coming, and we're just going to read the chart from there. So that's why I just want to focus on that notion, at least for the time being. Now, a couple of things worth noting. Today is Monday. The stock market is closed, at least for the equities markets. And it is a Labor Day holiday. So I hope you guys have a great day today. It's another great day to spend time away from the charts. But I just want to give you guys a preparation video for tomorrow because some important stuff will be coming out. For Tuesday, we have minor data coming out for retail. Same thing with Wednesday, as we have Dick's Sporting Goods and a few others like ChargePoint. For Thursday, we have like Neo's earnings and a few more, and then more retail for Friday. All of this is just very minor in my personal opinion. But for Catalyst about the markets, just notes that tomorrow is going to be Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. 30 minutes after the market ends up opening, that's when we have the main pieces of data coming out. We have the ISM manufacturing PMI, employment, new orders, and manufacturing prices. This is all going to be very important, especially this bottom two right here that I have highlighted. New orders and prices will be very important for understanding inflation and what we're projecting. And then at 11:30 a.m., we have the 3 and 6 month bill auctions coming out, so watch for more volatility then. Then for Wednesday, don't forget that it's going to be September 4th. We have the JOLTS job openings report, which is very important. For Thursday, we have the ISM services data, which is quite important as well. And then Fridays, when we have the unemployment numbers, very important too. So lots of important data is coming out for the entire week. But for now, we're just going to focus on tomorrow, which is Tuesday. 10 a.m. is when you should be watching for some volatility. Once again, 30 minutes after the market ends up opening. The market is currently quite greedy right now. We're seeing greed making up the majority of sentiment. Greed is still making up our momentum, and we're still seeing buyers stepping in. Momentum is also quite greedy as we're continuing to push. A few more things. The put and call ratio is still at neutral. It did go up just a little bit. We'll see if this shifts depending on the price action. It's possible to start shifting downwards if the market pushes higher because lots of shorts could be squeezed, closing their positions and hedging with longs. Market volatility is also neutral. The VIX looks a little bit more bearish to me, so we'll see how things go from here. So that being said, one more or two more things worth noting is that we have a good catalyst that came out for Tesla. The news is coming out that Tesla sold about 87,000 cars, a little bit under that in August in China. That's actually up 17% from July. So it's a nice increase we got in sales for the month of August, a nice little increase. It's also up 3% year over year and a 17% increase once again compared to July. So good growth by Tesla, good growth right over here. And I would just want to make it very clear that with us getting a decent month in China finally after so long, it's time for Tesla to see a nice reaction to this. So also from January to August in China, they sold about 587,000 vehicles. Not bad whatsoever. Good growth in my opinion. William Blair gave Tesla an outperform rating. Baird is giving Tesla an outperform rating as well. So is Piper Sandler. So it's a good piece of news that came out. Price price ratio is starting to hold up as Tesla is building some strength off the inverse head and shoulders. And then finally, I just want to call out that when it comes to seasonality, Tesla has a tendency of being green about 51% of the time on Tuesdays. We tend to be more volatile during open for the first hour, not to mention at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There tends to be more volatility at those times. Last but not least, I'm not seeing anything else that's too crazy on the news involving Tesla. So I just want to say that so far things are still very important. And we're going to be looking at how price action develops. But I didn't see anything too crazy in the news besides their Chinese sales being quite good. So that's a good piece of news. So that being said, what do I see for the share price? It depends on some factors, of course. So make sure you watch these levels before I talk about my prediction. So just in case, if Tesla were to lose 212, watch this 210 area, which is where this imbalance is. If that fills us, we're going down to the 207s, then 205s. If we're bullish, we want to break 215. If we hold above that, we have 217 and 220 as resistance, followed by 222 and 225. What do I think Tesla's going to do? What is my prediction? I think that there's an inverse head and shoulders forming here, and the 4 hour is looking pretty good. I also think that the daily is looking pretty good on Tesla as well, not to mention the weekly is looking pretty good, but the daily looks very strong. And generally, what tends to happen is we try to test these resistance levels. And when you have a bullish daily candlestick like this, we do tend to push higher and start filling some of these imbalances. So I think what's going to happen is this. It is possible we start off with a little bit of a dip to grab liquidity down here in this 212 to 213 area. Then Tesla may start pushing higher. As long as we get back above 215, I think we might fill this imbalance. And we're looking for about 220 to come for Tesla. If we break past 220, we're looking at the high of just under 222. Break that, and I think we're going all the way up to the next imbalance into the 225s or higher. So I think there's going to be a bounce coming. I think we could be looking for 215. If that breaks, we're looking for 220 potentially as a target. And Tesla should be getting a bounce from here, in my personal opinion. We may dip first before we try to bounce. That is the most likely possibility. But as you know, I'm not really a fortune teller. I can't always predict the news. So in case I am wrong, make sure you watch levels just to be safe. But I favor upside, and that's my prediction for now. SPY looks pretty good on the 4 hour time frame. We got a bullish looking 4 hour candlestick. Not to mention the daily is looking pretty good on SPY as well. So I'm favoring we're going to be testing the all-time high just under 565 as the most likely possibility. Now, just to be safe, make sure you watch these levels. We're going to be looking at this 563 and 562 zone as our support area. If you lose 562, we're looking for 560 close to the 20 EMA, followed by 558. Resistance, look at 565 or maybe a little bit under that, followed by 568 and then 570. In my opinion, looking at the 4 hour, we look bullish, especially after this candlestick formed. And I just want to call out that the PPO is looking pretty good as well. So I think what's going to happen is if we do get a little dip to grab liquidity, we may just try to continue to push. I anticipate a test of at least 565, the all-time high, as soon as tomorrow. Now, will we break the all-time high? I don't know, guys. It depends on the different factors. But if we do break it, we're easily going to be pushing much higher for 568 and 570. So I do favor that a little bit more. I don't know for sure, but I do favor that. And I think we're going to most likely try to break to new all-time highs as the most likely possibility looking at this chart. I think that we had a channel and we're trying to break out of it. I think we're about to see a big push. So I think we could be looking for 568, 570, or even higher. But just to be safe, watch and see if we can break 565 for confirmation. Part of why I think SPY is going to break all-time highs is because of how ES is looking. So ES is also trying to push right over here. If we hold above this 5670 zone, we could be pushing all the way up before that 5700 area to fill this imbalance. If we lose support down here, we're gonna be looking for 5639, not to mention 5620. But this is favoring upside, a big push for that 5700 area with the inverse head and shoulders as we look more bullish. So ES has more room to go higher. It's not even close to its all-time high yet. So that makes me suspect that it's going to eventually get there. And while this gets up there, SPY is going to follow the trend and start pushing higher. SPX is not at all-time highs, but I think we're going to try to get there looking at the daily and the 4 hour time frames. If we were to hypothetically lose support at 5620, we could dip, but I favor upside for that all-time high. I think 5670 is coming, and we may even push higher than that. For other factors out there, such as Nvidia is looking more bullish. So one thing that's good about Nvidia is we're holding our 200 EMA. We will look bullish if we hold this. Look at 117.74 is key support. If you hold this, we're looking for 122. If we lose this, we dip back down for 115. I favor a little bit of a bounce for 122 plus, so it looks a little bit more bullish to me. 122 looks very probable. Bitcoin's looking pretty good right now. We're trying to hold above our 20 EMA. That's a good sign. If we hold above this, I'm going to be looking for basically 60,000 to be coming back up. Also, some balance up here. So we have a bullish divergence forming right here as the MACD is trending higher as the price was trending lower. So I think we might be pushing for our 50 EMA towards 59,500, then the 60,500 area. I favor 60,000 and a little bit of upside as the most likely possibility. With that being said, looking at NQ, we look more bullish for the Nasdaq and for futures because we're trying to push towards this imbalance. I'm going to be looking at this 19,700 area. If we break that, I think we're going up towards the 20,000 area, but it depends on if we break this or not. It's still going to be a tough resistance. The QQQ has a similar structure. We look good on the 4-hour time frame. And then also the daily of the QQQ looks pretty good as well. So this is looking quite decent, favoring upside. So I think there are buyers defending, big orders coming out. But watch these levels just to be safe. If we lose 475, look at 472. If 472 fails us, we're going to be dipping likely to 468. Our resistance to watch for is at 477. If that breaks, we're looking for 480 up here, followed by 482.5. So from what I see, this is resembling an inverse head and shoulders, and we have this imbalance to fill. So I think that this could dip a bit and try to push just like SPY. I think we're going up to 480 is the most likely possibility, if not higher. That's what I favor. We will see if I am correct or not, but that's what I think is the most likely possibility. In another special case, if I am wrong, always watch your levels for confirmation and be able to read the price action because that is key. But I favor upside just to start off September for the time being. For Apple, now we do have this gap to fill. I think we could be retesting 228. We'll see if that holds. If we hold 228, look for a bounce. If we dip below that, we could be getting closer to the 226s to the gap fill and then try to bounce. But either way, whether we bounce off 228 or 226, let me just say that the inverse head and shoulders looks nice. We have a nice couple extraction. I do favor this gap fill up for 235. So I favor upside. For Apple, we want to push higher. We could dip a bit and try to bounce. So we'll see how things end up going. So watch for that very carefully. For Palantir, the 4 hour is looking a little bit more bullish because the structure is very nice. If we were to lose 31, we could be dipping. If we hold and try to break past 32, we're looking for a big push up here. I think that Palantir looks bullish in the 4 hour, and we could be looking for a push for 32.5. So overall, the chart looks quite splendid in my personal opinion. So this is also trying to favor that upside direction, so watch for that very carefully. I also think that there's a very, very nice looking structure that's developing on other stocks like Supermicro. So I think that Supermicro is going to be on its way for a bounce. If we were to lose 420, look for a dip down to 400, but this chart is favoring a push for 486. I think we may be pushing for 486, if not the imbalance fill for 550. So I think we're going to be looking for a bounce in Supermicro with Nvidia, and I think that it's going to help this go all the way up for 486, if not 500, as the most likely possibility. We'll see if we hold above, by the way, the 430 area. If we do so, I'm looking for the push, and I think we are favoring that upside. For Rivian, we have a range between 13.6 and about 14.6, going back and forth and back and forth. I favor we're just going to continue to do that and just remain range bound. We may attempt to push higher for that 14.6 area, and then if we dip back down, we'll just continue to be stuck. But I favor that once again, we're just going to be trading sideways, going back and forth and back and forth. Look for a push for 14.6, the mid 14s, and then a move back down, and we'll just continue to trade sideways, in my personal opinion. So we'll see how things go. We'll be very, very patient and give this the time it needs. For Sofi has a nice accumulation structure as well. We're actually holding this trend line very nicely, so it is favoring upside. So I think that if I were to draw a trend line like this, I would just tell you to just watch these levels. It's just like this. As long as we hold above this trend line, we're going to be looking pretty good in my personal opinion. So I think we will most likely hold, and I think that there's a good chance this remains bullish. As long as we maintain our structure above 7.78, we remain this bullish trend. If we were to lose 7.78, we're looking for a 7.5 again, but this is favoring a push higher for the 8s. So I think we're going to be pushing for a little bit of a dip, then a push up for that the 8.5 area, 8.5 is likely going to be coming. For the IWM, just like SoFi, we were riding a nice trend line to the upwards direction, but this depends on different factors. If we were to lose 218, we're looking for 216. If we hold the trend line, we're going up to 222. I think what's going to happen is we hold the trend line and we start pushing for 222 is the most likely possibility. I am favoring that a lot more in my personal opinion. For AMD, we're looking more bullish. As long as we hold above 148, we're looking for 151, especially as we have this imbalance to fill. If we lose this support, we're going to be dipping back down. So I favor a little bit of a push on AMD with Nvidia. I think we might be looking for a move back up towards this imbalance, taking us up to the 150 plus area. For ARM is also kind of like dipping a little bit. This might dip a little bit back down towards 129, then try to rebound higher. If we lose 129, we're looking for dip down to some balance for 123. If we hold this, we could try to rebound. I think we might be dipping for 129, and we'll see if we bounce or not. So give that a little bit of time. For Coinbase is also kind of rejecting right here, starting to dip. I think that it's about to balance, but this depends on different factors. We'll be looking at this gap over here around 178, if not this 180 area, for a very very probable area for it to try to bounce. With Bitcoin pushing, it might try to bounce tomorrow if the low is in. So it depends if the low is in. If the low is in, then it look for a rebound for at least 188. If it's not in, we could dip a little bit more and then get the rebound to 188. So it depends on if the low is in or not. It may be in, so we'll just have to wait and see. For Amazon, we look more bullish, but we have resistance at 178.73. If we break that, we're going up to 180 tomorrow. If this rejects, we're going back down to 175. I favor it's going to be pushing for 180 plus. This is forming a cup and handle like structure, so I think it might be pushing for that 180 area. So Amazon has potential. Meta, however, is kind of range bound. It's very tight right now. We're waiting for this consolidation phase to kind of wear off. If we break 525, we're looking for 530. And if we lose support down here around 517, we could be dipping down. I favor 525, then eventually higher levels like 530. So watch for that very carefully. For Microsoft, we look decent. We're trying to make higher lows right over here. We look bullish on the 4 hour. If we lose 415, we could be dipping. If we hold this, we could be pushing for 420 plus. So I favor 420. I favor 420 coming from Microsoft as the most likely possibility. For Google, we look pretty good as well, especially on the 4 hour time frame. So I think there's a good chance that we're going to be pushing for that 165 area, eventually 166, and then 168 is coming next. So I think there's a good chance we push higher. If we end up losing support, we're looking for 163.5 as our main support. I favor it's going to be pushing for at least 166 or higher, like 168. So I think there's a good chance Google tries to bounce. So watch for that very carefully. Now another stock that's looking decent to me is GameStop. We have a nice double bottom that's forming. As long as we hold above 23, I think we're going up to 25. So I think it has more room to go higher, especially as volume is coming back to it. So we got to hold above 23, and I think 25 is coming next. It looks bullish to me. AMC is so right now. It's not too great, not too bad. It's just very tight. But I'm going to be watching to see if we dip like this, do we establish a higher low and start trying to rebound like that? Or do we end up losing the low? If we lose the low that was made here, then yes, we could be dipping lower. And that's when we could start this like downtrend and then continue to sink. But it depends. I think it's going to dip a little tomorrow and we'll see if it bounces with GameStop. We'll see if it follows. Sometimes these meme stocks like to follow one another. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. For DJT, we look a little bit more bearish. There's a slight divergence from. We need to break past 20.5 to turn back up. Otherwise, we're just kind of stuck right now. It might dip a little bit lower for 19, then try to bounce. So watch and see if that ends up being the case. The VIX has a double top forming. If we break 15.8, we could turn back up. If we don't, we're going to likely be dipping all the way down to the 14s. What I think is happening is there's a double top and a dip coming, and then we also have like a larger head and shoulders on the VIX. So far it looks like it's playing out. So it looks like the S&P 500 is going to be pushing. We're going to see the Nasdaq push a little higher, and this is going to get dragged down lower. So I favor that's the most likely possibility. I also think that the 10 years trying to push here. If we break 3.92, it could push a little bit higher. It may not affect the market as much as before, so we'll see. And then for the dollar index, there's kind of like an inverse head and shoulders forming. So I'm thinking that maybe this is our left shoulder. Maybe this was the head right over here. And maybe it's about to form like a right shoulder. Maybe it dips like this. And that could be what helps the market rally for a couple of days before anything else. So we'll see. If this does dip really hard, at least for a couple of days, this could help the market bounce just temporarily. So we'll see. I'm going to give this a little bit of time. We do look a little bit weaker on the 4 hours, so it might dip a little bit. This could cause the market and even help the market push as money is kind of outflowing. So we'll see. With that being said, as far as the market goes, Tesla has a bullish catalyst as Chinese sales are looking pretty good, and the chart is favoring upside so long as we hold these supports. So remember what I'm saying. I am favoring that we are going to hold these supports most likely and start pushing for that 220 target for a temporary bounce. I'm not saying the bounce is going to last forever. I'm not going to say it's lasting the entire month. Just for now, approaching higher levels, I think there's a good chance that we will try to push higher from there and try to break for those highs for the markets as Tesla gets dragged up higher. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have an absolutely spectacular rest of your weekend. The weekend's about to end, but just enjoy whatever's left of it. And I will most definitely see you guys tomorrow before the market opens. So until then, have a very, very happy Labor Day weekend. Have fun, spend time with loved ones, and do whatever you guys want to do. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow for another update. Thank you for listening. Tesla to the moon, because the long term is still very bright. No matter what under this said and done for the short term, I'm still very bullish for Tesla long term. And until I see you guys again, thank you and peace out.